Welcome to our next calculus video. In this video, we're going to be covering lines. Now you might be thinking, lines? Those are simple. I've been doing lines forever. Well, I hope you find them simple, because lines are actually at the heart of calculus. You might be thinking, but I've been doing lines forever. Well, it turns out that sometimes to do the hardest problems, you actually have to peel them back to their simplest layers. And one of the simplest layers is lines. And if you can understand lines well, you can understand calculus really well. Okay? So, and this should be all review material for you. And if not, it's not hard. So lines, what is a line? Well, if you imagine a graph, okay, so a line simply stretches somewhere on that graph. Okay, it's a straight line. Now, there's a few important pieces. You can identify any line by its slope and its Y-intercept. So let's talk about those two concepts. Slope. What is a slope? Well, the slope is the kind of the directionality. How is this thing tilted? And it's measured as a ratio of rise over run. So what is rise? Well, rise is how much something goes up. And on which axis do we measure upness? Well, that's the y-axis. So y, so this is equal to your change in y divided by, so the run is how far back and forth it goes, which is measured by our x-axis. So it's the change in y divided by the change in x. Okay, so this is what slope is. So our slope is our rise over run, which is our change in y divided by our change in x. And so all you have to do to find rise and run is to find 2 points and look at the changes in y values and the changes in x values. So let's say that we pick this point. So let's say that this is, let's say we hit -2 on the x-axis. So this is -2, and let's just say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's -2, 5 is our first point. Well, what's our second point? Well, it's probably about +2. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So our second point is 2, 10. Okay, so these are our 2 points. And so our slope is going to be our rise over our run. So all points are given as x, y. Okay, so these are the x values, and these are the y values. So to do a change in y, okay, well, we need to label these, because if I just say x and y, then you don't know which one I'm talking about. So this will be, so we'll say this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. Okay, so our change in y is going to be y2. I actually don't need parentheses. So our change in y is going to be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, and so we can just get these from this side of the, from these 2 points. Okay, so what is y2? So y2 is 10. What's y1? y1 is 5. And this works for any 2 points we were to pick out on the line. No matter how far apart or how close together, you just pick out 2 points, and the slope is the same, because notice it's a line, so it never tilts or shifts. It always stays at the very same slope all the way through. Okay, so x2 is 2, and x1 is negative 2. So 2 minus a negative 2 becomes 2 plus 2. So that equals 5 over 4. And this is our slope. And as I said, it would be the same no matter what on this line you pick that out from, whether they're 2 points that are very, very close together or 2 points that are very, very far apart. They will all have the same slope. So then, what is the y-intercept? So the y-intercept, notice we could have a line that was this slope. We could have it over here, we could have it over here, we could have it over here. There's all sorts of places that we could put a line with the same slope. So what distinguishes this particular line is we can identify it based on where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so here, so in other words, when x is 0, what is the y value? So in this case, the y-intercept is at 5, 6, 7, 8.5. So our y-intercept is 8.5. And so with these two numbers, our slope, which is oftentimes labeled as m, and our y-intercept, which is oftentimes labeled as b, we can determine the equation for our line. Because the equation for a line is given by the formula y equals mx plus b. Okay, and so in our case, it's 5/4. Y equals 5/4 x plus 8.5. Okay, so this is the equation for our line. So the important parts of this, the equation for the line is important, and then rise and run. It's the change in y over change in x. We will use that extensively in this course, so don't forget it. Okay, and so we find it by taking two y values and subtracting them, and dividing it by two x values and subtracting them. And that will become very, very important as we go forth. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In fact, this right here is actually one of the foundational roots of calculus. Okay, so don't forget that. That is how you find the slope between 2 points. And then once we have the slope, we can find the y-intercept and convert it to a line. I hope this has been a review for you. And if it hasn't, you might go back and watch the video a few times just to make sure you're comfortable with the concepts. I'll see you in the next video.